Hello friends. Regular viewers of the channel have probably already noticed that I have a very negative attitude to the line of flashlights from Nitecore thanks to the expensive native battery of this line, and yet the SRT7i liked it. It's bright, long range, it has convenient controls, and let's take a closer look at it. The package looks gorgeous, and inside it is the flashlight itself with a 21700 battery for 5000 mAh, a case, a charging cable, a lanyard, an O-ring, a manual, a warranty. In short, everything that should be there is. Nitecore SRT7 and a fairly large flashlight by the standards of tactical flashlights, and even more so by the standards of EDC. Here it is much larger than the Sapphire SP35, which in itself is far from a small EDC flashlight. But by the standards of long-range lanterns, it is completely medium-sized. The flashlight itself is designed in the general line of the rest of the series, with the exception of Frankenstein's Nitecore P35, and look at the reviews. A very interesting flashlight. In general, he looks as thoroughbred as all the other representatives of this series. But these are tactical flashlights, so there is no special individuality there. They are all very similar to each other. And for a tactical flashlight, this is not a disadvantage. In general, this is a working tool. They are a beautiful DC thing. A distinctive feature of the SRT series is the regulator ring in the tail. In some models it switched LEDs, in some brightness. Here it has a smooth brightness adjustment, a tactical lock position mode. The label seems to cling a little to the blocking points of tactical and normal mode, so it will be more difficult to miss them. The closest analog is as if you run into a dividing line on the road. These positions are really felt by the transformation. There are two buttons in the tail cap, there are two levels of operation. This allows you to make management more flexible and convenient. And here it is. The batteries are expensive, dear, and deeply unpleasant to me. And all this could be done in a normal, more budget-friendly way by inserting an additional tube into the case. There is a spring on the side of the head, on the side of the tail there is a slightly spring-loaded contact pad. The thread is small, many turns. There are plenty of lubricants, the Tokarka is, of course, impeccable. The Knurling is tenacious and deep, the grip is comfortable and reliable. Even more reliable will be due to the clip. I've seen different ways to close the charging connector, but this is the first time I've seen such a metal cover, and everything is ambiguous here. On the one hand, you can easily open it and never tear it off like an ordinary rubber lid. On the other hand, it has a huge gap between the cover of the case, and as soon as some moisture gets on it, this moisture ends up in the connector. Not that it interferes with the flashlight in further use, it can be easily blown out, but it's no moisture protection, I'll tell you straight. Charging is fast. If you have a good power supply, you can charge 5000 mAh battery in just a couple of hours, and it's really very good here. The flashlight is tactical, so it's toothless, and everyone is built in. The reflector is quite deep and smooth, its bottom is a very pleasant combination of brightness and range luminous SFT70 LED. In the photo it seems that it is not centered, but this is nothing more than an unfortunate angle, everything is fine here. With the management in this model, the Nitecore did not mess up. And it often happens that a potentially interesting flashlight turns out to be just unsuccessful precisely because of idiotic management. I liked it here. There are two buttons, each button has two levels of operation. In tactical mode, for example, a flat button gives you a turbo and a sling, but this on-off button gives you access to the 100 lumen mode and turbo. Brightness only works on hold time. Released the button, the light went out. In addition to the tactical mode, there is a lock in another position, at the very least. When the label finds these positions, you will feel it. Everything is tactile enough here. There is a smooth brightness adjustment. This is, respectively, for a more everyday kind of management. It's comfortable, I can't say anything bad. During work and in everyday life, in this line with smooth brightness adjustment, you still have access to the turbo and strobe through this flat button from the off state, from the on state. In short, everything is fine with the management here, it is not complicated, it is intuitive, and, in general, Nitecore can only say thank you for this management. They're great here. The light isn't perfect, but it could have been much worse. Here the SFT70 LED has a risk of serious blockage in the greenery at the junior levels. Everything is fine here. But the turbo-cooled flashlight will not hold even a second, the brightness starts to instantly dive down. But, with cooling, the brightness will drop to about half, that is, the conditional 1500 lumens, and without cooling to an acceptable level of 25%, that is, 750 lumens. And what is important, this fall lasts for minutes, and I am sure that this time will be enough for sure. Well, in the case of the presence of wind, respectively, you will have a whole hour of work at excellent brightness or 2.5 hours at an acceptable one. This is about 1500 and 750 lumens. They may be, in general, even redundant for you, that is, the flashlight will work even longer. These brightness levels are more than enough for scenarios like on lit off. Well, for full-fledged work, you will definitely need a spare battery and, alas, it will be monstrously and unreasonably expensive. And if I deeply dislike my dear battery, then everything is fine with the light here. Even at 100 lumens, the flashlight perfectly illuminates the suburban area. In turbo mode, the flashlight seems to cut out a tunnel in the dark, and this is a fairly widely and evenly lit tunnel with such a sharp black and white border on Nitecore SRT7 and reminds me of buzzers. By the way, these 100 lumens are quite small, but still visible even at a distance of 200 meters. SFT LED is still really a very good LED in terms of brightness and range. The maximum range, by the way, I would estimate a little more than 200 meters. Still, the LED is good, but for range it will need a reflector of a completely different size. And unfortunately, you will need a native expensive battery. That is exactly why I can't stand all this and the line. The exception is actually rare. Nitecore SRT7i and is just one of these exceptions. Because the flashlight is really cool. It has a convenient control, convenient, and in situations of some ordinary use there is this smooth brightness adjustment, which I highly rate. Let it be carried out by a ring, but it is still quite convenient. Of course, I can only guess about the situation of tactical use, but I think that the flashlight will not disappoint here either. After all, there is instant access to the turbo, to the strobe from the off from the on state. There is access to 100 aluminum. Everything is wonderful around the world. Without parasitic greenery, moderately wide, moderately long-range light, which will completely cover all needs within a radius of 250 meters, and I think that you will not need to shine further in situations there in tactical and everyday use. There is actually a very pleasant light here, and if you are ready to put up with your own expensive battery, then the Nitecore SRT7i and I am sure that you will like it as well as me. If so, then you can buy it from the link in the description of the video,